the build-up to the fight. The world of boxing was electric in the lead up to November 996. Mike Tyson, the former undisputed heavyweight champion, had been on a rampage since his return to the ring after serving time in prison. Tyson's ferocity and speed had returned in full force, and he was once again regarded as the most dangerous man in boxing. But standing in his way was a challenger, unlike any other, Evander Holyfield. Holyfield, a former cruiserweight champion who had moved up to heavyweight, was a fighter renowned for his heart, discipline, and resilience. He was seen by many as too small to be a legitimate threat to Tyson, who towered over him both physically and in terms of reputation. Yet, Holyfield had quietly been compiling impressive victories and had earned a shot at Tyson's title. Despite Tyson's dominance in the ring, Holyfield's boxing style, built on technical precision and tactical intelligence, was something that Tyson had not faced in recent years. Holyfield's team believed they had a solid strategy to deal with Tyson's aggressiveness, and they were confident that Holyfield's resilience would carry him through. But Tyson was confident in his own explosive power and in his ability to overwhelm opponents. The press conferences leading up to the fight were filled with tension and animosity. Tyson, who had a reputation for being unpredictable and volatile, was already stirring up controversy with his blunt statements and refusal to acknowledge Holyfield as a legitimate threat. On the other hand, Holyfield remained calm and focused, often smiling and speaking with respect, though he had a quiet confidence that he could pull off the upset. As the fight drew near, the betting odds heavily favored Tyson, but there was an undercurrent of skepticism among certain boxing analysts who felt Holyfield's experience and grit could make a difference. The stage was set for what many believed would be an unforgettable showdown. The night of the fight, round 1. The night of November 9, 1996, saw a sold-out crowd gather at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. The air was thick with anticipation as the two fighters made their way to the ring. Tyson entered to his usual mix of ferocity and confidence, his eyes locked forward as he paced toward the ring. Holyfield, in contrast, was more measured, stepping into the arena with calm focus. From the moment the bell rang for round 1, Tyson came out with his trademark aggressive style. He immediately sought to close the distance between himself and Holyfield, unleashing a barrage of left and right hooks, looking to land something powerful early. Tyson's speed and power were evident, and Holyfield had to quickly utilize his footwork and head movement to avoid the incoming onslaught. Holyfield, however, was not intimidated. He absorbed the early pressure and remained composed, staying on his feet while using lateral movement to make Tyson miss. Holyfield's game plan was clear. He would need to neutralize Tyson's aggression by making him miss and tiring him out. Though Tyson had the advantage in raw power, Holyfield was proving that he could stand his ground. Despite Tyson's best efforts to assert dominance, Holyfield found his rhythm by the end of the round, landing some solid counters and jabs. While Tyson was the aggressor, it was evident that Holyfield was not going to back down. The fight intensifies round 2 to round 4. The next few rounds unfolded in a way few expected. Tyson continued to press the action, but Holyfield's tactical approach began to show its effectiveness. Holyfield's jab found its mark more often, and his ability to dodge Tyson's most powerful shots while staying in the pocket was an impressive feat. However, Tyson's frustration started to grow. The more he tried to land his powerful punches, the more Holyfield made him miss. And when Tyson did land, Holyfield seemed to take the punches better than most of Tyson's previous opponents. Holyfield's resilience was becoming increasingly evident and Tyson's camp began to realize that their fighter was not having the easy time they had anticipated. But there was more to the story. As the rounds progressed, Tyson's camp began to notice that Holyfield was using his head in a way that seemed intentional. Holyfield's head would often come forward, grazing Tyson's face as he moved inside to clinch or as they fought in close quarters. Tyson, who had cuts from these incidents, began to complain to the referee, but the official ruled the headbutts accidental, which further aggravated Tyson. By round 4, Tyson was bleeding from cuts on his forehead, a result of the persistent clashes of heads that Holyfield had engaged in. Tyson's usual unflappable demeanor began to show cracks. He was visibly frustrated, and the cuts on his face started to affect his vision. His camp began to argue that the headbutts were intentional, but the referee remained steadfast in his belief that they were accidental. Tyson's frustration, round 5 to round 7. By the 5th round, Tyson's frustration was beginning to turn into desperation. His camp's allegations of illegal headbutts only seemed to fuel his rage, but Tyson was not in the same dominant position as he had been in his previous fights. Holyfield, despite the cuts and the pressure, was proving to be a more difficult puzzle than Tyson had anticipated. In the 6th round, Tyson seemed to lose some of his trademark poise. He was rushing in, trying to land big punches, but Holyfield was making him pay with clean counters. Tyson's aggression, once his greatest strength, was being neutralized by Holyfield's calm and precise movements. The headbutt issue continued to plague Tyson, and the cuts worsened. Tyson's frustration boiled over, and his aggression became even more reckless. He was trying to break Holyfield's resolve with sheer force, but the more Tyson came forward, the more Holyfield showed his ability to absorb the punishment and keep his cool. As the rounds continued, Tyson's facial cuts became more severe, but the referee did not change his ruling on the headbutts. Holyfield's camp remained silent on the matter, with their fighter sticking to his strategy. Meanwhile, Tyson's camp became increasingly vocal, arguing that the fight was being unfairly influenced by Holyfield's use of illegal tactics. The turning point, round 8 to round 10. The 8th round was a crucial turning point in the fight. Tyson, now severely cut, was clearly showing signs of wear. His speed had slowed, and the relentless headbutts had left him bleeding profusely. Holyfield, on the other hand, was beginning to take control. His jab had become more consistent, and he was landing punishing blows to Tyson's head and body. Tyson's corner was growing more concerned, but Tyson remained determined. However, it was clear that Holyfield was winning the battle of attrition. He was using his size and strength to neutralize Tyson's aggression and dictate the pace of the fight. Holyfield, despite the controversy surrounding the headbutts, had built a lead on the scorecards. Tyson, whose usual strategy of overwhelming his opponents had not worked, now found himself in uncharted waters. The longer the fight went on, the more Holyfield seemed to grow in confidence. The end, round 11. By round 11, it was clear that Tyson was on the brink of defeat. He was tired, bleeding, and unable to land the kind of power punches that had once made him feared. Holyfield, in contrast, was still sharp, still composed, and still on the attack. Holyfield's technical mastery of the fight had worn Tyson down. In the 11th round, Holyfield delivered a final blow, an uppercut that sent Tyson to the ropes. Tyson, unable to recover, was battered into a corner. The referee stepped in and halted the fight, declaring Holyfield the winner by TKO. Evander Holyfield had pulled off one of the most shocking victories in boxing history, dethroning the mighty Mike Tyson. The controversy and aftermath. In the aftermath of the fight, Tyson's camp was vocal in their outrage. They insisted that the headbutts had been intentional and had caused the cuts that ultimately played a crucial role in Tyson's defeat. Tyson himself, in the heat of the moment, echoed these claims, stating that Holyfield had used illegal tactics to gain an unfair advantage. Despite these claims, the referee stood by his decision that the headbutts had been accidental. The controversy over the headbutts became a key talking point in the boxing world, and Tyson's fans and analysts debated whether the fight had been decided fairly. Regardless of the controversy, the boxing world recognized Holyfield's achievement. He had overcome the odds, outsmarted the seemingly unbeatable Tyson, and claimed the heavyweight title in one of the most thrilling upsets in sports history. Tyson, meanwhile, was left to pick up the pieces. His aura of invincibility had been shattered, and the loss to Holyfield marked the beginning of a new chapter in his career, one that would be filled with challenges, both inside and outside the ring. The Tyson-Holyfield fight would remain etched in history, not just for the outcome, but for the drama, the controversy, and the unforgettable spectacle of two warriors clashing in the ring. It would go down as one of the defining moments of boxing history,